Jen's not good for you because this is what she did. And I'm like, she never told me that.
A real friend wouldn't counsel in that way seriously. I think that if she said it, it would probably be more of like a, you should totally take the money and run, you know?
I know a lot of us have different opinions when it comes to the tell-all. A lot of times people complain that we don't get our questions answered. And I feel it's because we've mainly had the OG3 being very protective, especially Meri and Janelle. They've been very protective over the family, and they've always tried to stop saying anything that would hurt the family. But I think with the divorces, the women have finally got their voice, and they've realized that they don't need to protect anything, whether it's because their children have told them that you need to speak your truth and not continue to sort of be manipulated by this man, or whether they're in that space whereby they're fed up and they're not going to continue to sort of protect Kody anymore. It's sad that I feel like Kody and Robyn must have had a conversation and decided to try and manipulate the OG3 one more time. Sadly, they couldn't manipulate Christine because of, David. David wouldn't allow that. But I think they did try and have backdoor conversations with Meri and Janelle before the tell-all. Because I remember Meri saying Kody recently got in touch with her and was trying to remind her of something, but she couldn't remember it. And I think at the same time, they must have had a conversation with Janelle and tried to run Jen over with the bus. Sadly, Janelle didn't realize that the same bus was going to make a U-turn and come for her because of the allegations that Meri tried to leave Kody and take all the money. And I think this is why they also decided to go after Janelle, because they couldn't believe that Janelle was becoming friends with Meri. And so they decided to say she is the one who was going behind Meri's back. And so I'm happy that, we get to hear these women speak their truth finally. I'm pleasantly surprised at the situation between Janelle and Christine. Something is wrong there. I'm going to continue to say it, because the idea that we continue to hear them speak up for Meri but not for one another tells me that something is not right. There's something in the water, but they won't say it because obviously they've benefited from always being portrayed as friends. Anyway, hey there, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Valerie. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Sister Wives, Season 20, Episode 19. This is part all of the tell-all. Anyway, so we have Kody sitting with Suki. They're having a conversation, and he is being asked, how do you feel about Jen? We've got a clip that we need to show you. And he said, well, let's see if Jen can go through something without trash talking me. And it's like, oh, buddy, you're not that special. Really, really not that special. So we get to see clips of, Jen just encouraging Meri to speak up for herself and not continue to be used by these people who are taking advantage of her. Kody said, he did try to talk to Meri about Jen and the fact that Jen was trash talking him, and Meri was so upset with him that she only spoke to him through lawyers after that. And it's like, what exactly did you say about Jen? What in particular did you say? She can't just come out from nowhere and just suddenly say, I'm going through my lawyers. You must have said something that triggered her, that caused her to say that. Kody is asked, do you think Jen is responsible for the family split up? And he said, yes, she is partly to blame. And Meri's like, no, I was struggling in this family because I got a divorce, gave up my divorce so that the other families could benefit from it. My relationship suddenly ended because of that. And because I was going through this dark time, this is when I was catfished and things just went downhill from there. And Kody is sort of saying, no, he and Meri were already struggling before everything else, the dark times. He doesn't want to sort of take responsibility for the fact that he is responsible for their breakup. I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. He said, he was really struggling with Meri. This is why their relationship ended, and Robyn was a witness to that. And he was asked, did Meri ever apologize for catfishing? He said, no, he doesn't remember her apologizing. And it's like, make it make sense. What do you mean you don't remember her apologizing? It's say that you don't want to acknowledge it, because if you do acknowledge it, then that makes you look like the bad guy. He was asked, did Meri always have a voice? He said, yes, she's always had a voice. He's surprised she's saying that she didn't have a voice. Meri said, she's always had a voice, but then there was a time she didn't have a voice, particularly in Vegas. And personally, the only thing I could think of is the catfishing came as a result of the divorce and of her child sort of leaving and going off to college. So I feel like they sort of manipulated Meri into giving up the divorce on the basis that they isolated her first. then manipulated her into thinking that if she gave up her marriage, things would improve, and things never improved. And so they don't want to acknowledge that, because that will make them, look like the bad guys. This is why they're trying to make it seem like Meri, who has always had a voice. She's lying that she never had a voice. She said she shut down and she just kept quiet because she thought things would get better, and sadly things didn't get better. Things actually got worse, and her trying not to rock the boat didn't serve any purpose, which is really sad. And I'm really sad for her because it really looks like that. Christine was asked, how do you feel about Jen? Christine said, Jen is someone who's very outspoken. She speaks her mind and she doesn't let anyone control her. And this is something that Kody doesn't want, because he wants someone who will go along with whatever he wants to do. And so the idea that you have Jen, who is there to speak up for herself and able to advocate for herself, is something that he doesn't want, and something that he struggles with. And I can totally see it, and I can totally agree with it, because I feel like the reason why Kody struggles with Jen is because Jen is able to sort of undo whatever manipulation tactics he uses on Meri, and is able to sort of get Meri to see reason and see the light, and this is why he doesn't like her. Kody then said, I don't trust, Jen. She wants to trash talk me all the time, and she influenced Meri leaving. And it's like, what do you mean she influenced Meri leaving? Meri left because you said you didn't want her anymore. And she tried her best for years and years and years to stay in this family, hoping that in staying in this family, things would improve, but they never improved. So the idea that suddenly you are blaming Jen doesn't make sense to anyone with common sense. It doesn't make sense. You wanted Meri gone. Meri left. Now suddenly you are the victim, and you are, why did she leave me? No, I do not buy it, and I do not get why you feel the need to say that. I'm actually side-eyeing Kody, because some of the things he says and does make you question that what is wrong with this man. Anyway, and then you have this conversation that was started with Janelle. Then you had Janelle. Janelle said she was friends with Jen as well, because Jen used to fumigate the family's properties. And sadly, she and Jen fell out because Jen told her that she had told Meri to take the money and leave Kody. And it's like, which money was she telling Meri to take? Was she telling Meri to take her own money? I wish their Suki had actually pushed back and said, which money was Jen asking Meri to take? Because we all never found out which money it was. We know that there is this allegation that Jen was telling Meri to take the money and run, but we don't know where the money came from. For Janelle to say, I then immediately cut ties with Jen, and it's like, if you had an issue with Meri or with Jen saying that, why didn't you go to Meri and say, Meri, this is what your friend is saying? Why would you tell Kody? I have a feeling that before there was Robyn, there was Janelle. I now truly believe it, because Janelle, it seems, always got what she wanted from Kody, and I feel like she was responsible for tackling behind people's backs, and sadly they never picked up on it until the master manipulator came in, Robyn. So you have Suki ask Christine, do you know about this lie? Have you ever heard about this? And Christine said, if Jen said it, she must have said it as a joke. She really must have said it as a joke, because she can be sarcastic in how she speaks. So she must have said it as a joke, but people must have taken her seriously. I would never want to believe that she would have gone behind anyone's back and said such a thing, which makes me question that, how is it Christine and Janelle have always been sold as friends, and suddenly they are not on the same page? And so it makes me question what has happened between Christine and Janelle, because they're not backing each other anymore. It seems like they don't agree on a lot of things. Yes, I know Christine might be upset with the comments Janelle made about her husband, but there is something more to that, because she said maybe, Jen said it sarcastically because she is someone who is always sarcastic, or she said it as a joke because that's how she speaks, but she wouldn't totally have said it seriously. I would want to believe she wouldn't say that. Jen on her part said, I never said it, and my biggest regret is I've never said it. I wish I had said that to Meri. But she brought up the fact that when Meri was struggling and going through her dark times, she was one of the people that went to the family and said to them, can you all please help Meri, because Meri is struggling. She is, I think that's the time she was being catfished. So you had Jen go and tell Janelle that, can you go and check on Meri and just see if she's okay? I think her hope was that, the family, they are sister wives. So as sister wives, they must help each other in times of struggle. Sadly, that's not how it played out, which is really sad, though. It's really sad. Meri then revealed that she had a relationship with Robyn prior to everything falling apart. She thought she and Robyn were the closest friends, and so the trust has been broken because of a lot of gossip. There are things that she was telling Robyn, and sadly, Robyn was sort of saying them back. Robyn was questioned that, did you break Meri's trust? And she went, no, I've never broken Meri's trust. I've always had Meri's back. It's sort of implying that Meri's lying. And it's like, what do you mean Meri's lying? You've had every single wife say that every time they confided in you, you ran back with it to Kody. So how can it be one person saying it? Okay, fine, they might be lying. You had Janelle say the same thing. You've had Christine say the same thing. And the common denominator is you. So you must have been carrying favor with Kody by running to the other wives, pretending to have their backs, and then going to Kody and regurgitating every single thing you heard. I'm not buying that nonsense. Christine revealed she had trust issues with Robyn because she would relate everything she told her in confidence to Kody. Kody tried to sort of be the shield that protected Robyn because you were saying, he doesn't understand why they're sort of throwing Robyn under the bus. He doesn't understand why they're scapegoating her. Robyn didn't tell me anything. They betrayed trust by, their own doing. We didn't sort of work on our relationships very well, and now suddenly everybody has left and they're deciding to scapegoat Robyn. And it's like, all your wives are saying, all your ex-wives are saying the same thing. So Robyn is the common denominator. You can't say they're just making it up. No, one person saying Robyn did this is fine. If every single person is saying it, then Robyn is the problem. Kody eventually, I think because he was cornered, revealed that she told me about catfishing. And at the end of the day, if my wife is having an affair, then somebody else has to tell me. And he said, we weren't happy in our marriage, and this is why our marriage has failed. And it's like, the moment you got Robyn, she was the new shiny thing. It wasn't Janelle anymore. And you alienated the other wives in order to appease Robyn because that's where you got the best service. And she said you were the best customer. And suddenly you're now saying everybody else is responsible. I'm not buying it. You had Meri and Jen say, they tried to sort of have a conversation with Kody and tell him what was going on in regards to the threats that were coming from the catfish and everything else. And Kody wouldn't listen. And suddenly we found out that, Meri would confide in stuff that the catfish would find out through her friend. And it's like, people have always alleged that, Robyn played a part in this catfishing thing. I cannot say yes, I cannot say no, because I do not know. I really don't know, so I can't say either way. We got to see Meri's date with Ron. Ron is amazing for Meri, and you can see that Jen really loves Ron for her friend. Everybody was excited. They were all saying it was really cute. It was nice to see a different side of Meri. Kody tried to imply that Ron is still meeting Meri's representative. No, he's not, because you are contradicting yourself by saying, after my chat with Meri for the apology, we then sat down and we sort of referred back to that happy, healthy place. And it's like, why can't you leave these women to have an amazing life after you? You can see that they are getting way better men from you. You were their mistake and they've learned from their mistake and they're doing better for themselves. You focus on you and allow them to focus on them, and life will be sweet. So I didn't like that Kody did that. I really didn't like it, the way he tried to sort of make it seem like all his OG wives were amazing for a time, and then after that they just went sour. You then had the wives and Kody be asked, I know you've been on your apology tour. Do you think the wives owe you an apology? Or do you think there's anything else you need to apologize for? He implied that he didn't know he was doing anything wrong. And, we're at this space whereby I want us all to move on. What do I think? I think Kody needed to apologize to these women in private, away from the camera. Yes, they could have done it on camera, but he should have stayed back and apologized. Apparently, after his chat with Meri on camera, he stayed back and spoke to her for about 2 hours, and they left on a better place. They can be friendly, but they can't be friends. And personally, I don't think Meri needs him as a friend. I think Meri is in the best space she's been for a long time, and so she can do better than him. With Janelle, she was asked, about the apology. She said, she was very happy she received it for what it was. When it comes to the apology, she doesn't feel anyone else needs to make an apology, because at the end of the day, Kody was the head of the family, so he should have made the apology. Everybody else didn't need to apologize. Do I agree with her? To some extent. To some extent. I think the OG3 need to sit down. I think they need to have open and honest conversations and forgive each other and move on, because at the end of their day, their children are still siblings. Their children are going to be intertwined in certain situations, and it would be very awkward for their children to feel uncomfortable just because of the mother's beef. Mary said, she loves that he apologized and she's at peace, and she's open to having a conversation with Kody and Robyn at any point, or anyone in the family at some point, because she feels like there are certain things that they did that were not right, that need to apologize for and allow people to move on and live their best life. Mary saying she's happy. I will always say this. Kody and Mary's are doing was Mary buying the house in Parawan. And Mary buying the house in Parawan could never have won a favor again in Kody's eyes, and this is why they are where they are, and he will never forgive her. And I think this is partly the reason why he didn't want to give her money from McMansion or money from Coyote Pass, because he felt she already had enough money from the property in Parawan. Hopefully she's got her money by now. Christine said, maybe there is a need to apologize, but I'm at a point whereby I'm moving on, because I know that even if we apologize, we can never fix the past. We have to move on and be happy. And still, I know they're all moving on, but it would be nice to just apologize and put a line under it and then move on. It's not that they're going to be best of friends, but everybody can be happy with the people that are in their lives. Robyn feels like Kody's apology tour wasn't her business, and she doesn't feel like she needs to apologize. I feel like Robyn is the one who should apologize the most to the rest of the family, because she is the reason why the family is as they are. At the end of the day, she is the reason why the family split up, because everybody sort of clashed over things that she said and did, and now they're in this space where there is no sort of coming back from that. Anyway, my pictures will be all over the place. They won't be as in regards to conversations, but hey, it is what it is. Thank you very much for supporting me in season 20. I can't wait to see. Hopefully there's a season 21. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from the Tell All Part 3. Bye, guys.